Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining. Today's topic is IBMI strategies for smarter document handling. I'm Greg Schmidt, Senior Solutions Engineer at Fortra for the IBMI Power Solutions. As organizations continue their digital transformation journey, many overlook one of the most impactful areas of optimization, and that is document and workflow management. Today, we're going to explore how Fortra's integrated IBMI solutions empower teams to capture, route, and access documents securely, all while reducing manual efforts and ensuring compliance. A quick background on me. For over 25 years, I've helped organizations modernize how they manage documents, streamline approvals, and automate business workflows across their IBMI and other network business systems. My background spans from document and forms automation, workflow and process design, robotic process automation, IBMI workload automation, and business intelligence, all with a strong focus on making information flow seamlessly across the business. Many of the IBMI customers I've worked with were still relying on paper driven approvals, email attachments, or even manual data entry from printed reports or incoming invoices. My mission has been to help them reimagine those processes, turning document bottlenecks into digital workflows that are faster, smarter, and more secure. Here's what we'll cover today. We'll start by looking at the overall importance of document and workflow management and why it's no longer a luxury but a necessity. We'll then explore some automation strategies covering document capture, workflow, AP automation, forms automation, report management for the IBMI. Then we'll discuss how process enforcement and lifecycle strategies enhance security and compliance with inside of your organization. And then finally, we'll bring it all together with a real world challenge, best practices, a live overview of the web docs system in action. So I'll go through some of the user interface from that standpoint so you can see that, and then we'll cover some of the user tools. And if time permits, we'll go into some of those other features as well on the automation side. Then we'll finish up with some Q&A if time permits at the end. So please enter your questions into the chat window, and if again, if time allows at the end, I will address them. But if not, we will get back to you with the answers to the questions as well. And remember, today's event is being recorded, and you'll receive a link to this webinar after the event is over that you can either rewatch if you missed something, or if someone in your organization you would like to watch it, you can forward it to them so they can get to it as well. Before we get too deep into today's topic, I just want to cover this one slide that talks about the areas that our web docs document automation solutions can help you with. Starting with the document and workflow automation, that'll be our topic today, right? That's going to be the secured centralized storage system where all your company's documents can be put into the system with full version control, audit control, and different kinds of capturing capabilities inside the system. We also have forms and workflow automation. Forms and workflow automation is more around collecting data and then pushing it through a workflow processes, and then taking the data that was entered or pulled in from an ERP or business system or database in some cases, and populate that back to the ERP system after the approval's done, and then put those documents in the repository for compliance purposes. So really what that's really meant is sort of digitizing the process is 100%, right? So, having a form that can flow around, collect the data, and then process it through, forcing business rules and stuff like that. And that is all done with a citizen-based developer interface, meaning that drag and drop interface for creating forms and also creating workflows. Document creation and delivery automation. So we have a lot of customers out there that have other packages to, that might be, non-modern packages in some cases, right? Or it could be AFP processes to create what we'll call customer presentable documents, meaning invoice statements, could be reports internally, but we can create those all those kinds of documents and stuff like that. Think of AR automation, being able to automatically, create invoices and send invoices and statements and all that stuff. So we do have a document creation and delivery solution as well that runs native on the I or in a mixed mode or in a Windows environment. And then our accounts payable automation capabilities as well. This is where we actually bring in some of the some AI based capture capabilities into the solutions to be able to capture documents into the system to do classification and OCR extraction, and then do some validation inside of there. And our system does do like 2 and 3-way matching capabilities into different business systems. If they're running on the I or Windows or cloud, doesn't make a difference. But we really eliminate that hand keying and manual entry and speed up that invoice to payment process. All right. So document management is one of the foundations of digital transformation on an IBMI or in in any environment, right? It centralizes content that often's trapped in the silos, like spool files, emails, shared drives, and provides structure through version control, audit controls, and even automated workflows. This isn't just about efficiency, it's about more around enforcing governance, improving collaboration, and ensuring that critical business data is both secure and accessible when users need it. These are some of the core pain points that organizations face today, right? So information again is siloed across different systems. Version control chaos. So they might, version, they don't, if it's a network drive or somewhere like that, they might have multiple versions. They don't know which is the live version, or they might be in emails and they don't know which the live version is. Manual error prone processes. So you might have a process to, someone sends in a document to someone for approval or something like that. Now that's an email. Now, how do we know that didn't go to 5 or 6 other people? So being able to, encapsulate that process and control that process. High operational costs, right? That's another one inside of there. Lack of visibility and auditability. So not knowing where things are at in the system from that standpoint. Do we have that document? Is it part of a workflow? Did it get workflowed approved? And who did it? WebDocs for Windows and IBM was built to address these exact challenges, providing an end-to-end platform for secure, automated document and workflow management within inside of your organization. For a long time, document management systems were seen as a nice to have, a luxury reserved for sometimes larger enterprises or departments with heavy compliance, requirements. But that perception has completely changed. In today's environment, where data breaches, remote work, and regulatory audits are, a daily, reality, document management has become a necessity. On the IBMI side, we still see organizations managing spool files, reports, and paper archives manually, often outside the same governance structure that protects their business data. That's a real risk. A modern document management system like WebDocs can give you the same level of security, automation, and audit control for your unstructured content that's IBMI ready, that's on your IBMI, and other transactional data or documents that get created. It's not about replacing, what works. It's about extending the trusted IBMI reliability into every document process and every workflow within inside of your organization. When organizations think about digital transformation in the IBM, the conversation often starts with process automation, but the real value comes from document and workflow management. Now let's go into a little bit of the benefits of each of these, right? Centralized, secure document storage. All your critical content, like we were talking about just earlier, reports, invoices, HR files, spool file are stored in one secure, searchable repository that can be searched from the browser or from your green screens. Improved organization version control, right? No hunting around for the latest version and wondering, who's approved what. Everything's in one spot again. Again, going off of that, retention and compliance. Collaboration and security is another one. Teams working together. A contract comes in, you need to, route that around for everyone's review and approval process. It's a single button click with inside of Web Docs. Again, that goes off the whole workflow automation piece, right? So being able to enforce not just AP workflows, but HR workflows and return customer workflow kind of processes. Analytics and reporting. You gain visibility into a lot of these areas. So all the information in the system is reportable. You can see that information, through your reporting tools. Scalable, mobile, and integration capabilities, right? So whether you're managing, tens of documents or thousands or millions of documents, we can then you can scale this effortlessly throughout your organization and to any ERP system and environment. Automation without process enforcement is just faster chaos. By embedding workflows directly into your document management system, you stabilize and standardize how approvals, reviews, and data exchanges happen across different departments and also within departments. This increases compliance, ensures consistency, quality, and prevents unauthorized and incomplete actions on your IBMI and other business systems. Why reliability and auditability are key. This aligns between automation and governance is especially powerful. And here's one that talks a little bit about the importance of the process management. So increased compliance security again, improved efficiency, quality control, and also scalability on the throughout your processes. Now let's talk a little bit about how a document lifecycle strategy enhances security in business operations. So inside of here, every document in your organization has some kind of life cycle, right? From the creation and capture to use, sharing, archiving, and eventually destruction in some cases. Now, not all documents are going to go through the destruction phase because depending on the life cycle of the document, you might have to maintain that forever. So having a system that can control that is big. So by managing each stage systematically, you can reduce the risk, maintain the compliance, and improve efficiency. IBMI systems are naturally strong at managing structured data, and when extending with document lifecycle tools like Web Docs, they become a complete platform for business information governance. So again, we can, stronger security, right? So centralized control over your document access. You can imply audit log capabilities around sensitive information in some of those different cases. Automated retention and disposal to reduce exposure risks. So that's one of the big things as well. So keeping information too long is sometimes a risk to your organization. So we can have those disposal capabilities, retention policies actually be automatic. Smarter operations is another category, right? Automated routing accelerates approvals and decisions. Throughout all different kinds of departments within your organization. If it's a single step or multiple step kind of, or inner process, I'll say intercompany or interdepartmental kind of processes. Seamless integration with your ERP and IBM and business environments. This is a huge one. So being able to, have a single source for integration. If it's a REST API, if it's a CL program, RPG program, how is that done? Or even a cloud environment in some cases, being able to, if you're hosting your IBMI system, we can actually do different things like that to be able to integrate into different business applications. And then reduce or remove the manual handling improves the accuracy and efficiency, right? We don't want copies of documents around there. We don't want people manually handling these things. We want the system to be able to do that for you and governs that document. Now, inside of here, here's how Fortress strengthens both security and operations throughout the lifecycle, right? So we have the full lifecycle management capabilities inside of our system, so we can create, capture documents. If they're scanned documents, emails, spool files, whatever, we can store them in the centralized location with security and retention policies. We can use them inside the system, so you can access them. You can share them with inside the organization if you would like to. And then we also have that archive and destroy phase as well. So you can archive them with retention policies. And then if they're outside that retention policy, you can also put it into more of a destroy phase or remove it from the system or move it off of into a different platform once it hits a certain archive point too. Maybe you don't want to leave it on the I or on a certain storage medium. You want to move it somewhere else. You can do that as well. Common challenges for all industries that we work with. So our system is pretty cross-platform or cross-industries. All industries like manufacturing, distribution, finance, healthcare, these challenges repeat, right? So AR and AP, that's always a big one, right? Siloed systems, paper dependencies, lack of visibility, um, that impact of missed deadlines, compliance risks, and rising costs in some cases, right? If they miss something or don't have something that they need to show an auditor and stuff like that, that could be all risks that a company are facing. But all industries pretty much face these same kind of areas and also bottlenecks inside of processes, right? So everyone might have a bottleneck inside a process. WebDocs turns those bottlenecks into I'll call it opportunities for measurable operational gains. So we can actually monitor that and actually say, hey, if something sits in a workflow too long or in a single step too long, maybe move that forward, re-notify someone, move that back inside of the organization, or notify the workflow manager, of that workflow that something's not being done in the amount of time. So there's a lot of gains that can happen with inside the organization. Now let's just dive into sort of what WebDocs can help you with, right? We talked a little bit about that through here, but WebDocs provides that, again, that centralized, secure management for all different departments. If it's AP, AR, HR, legal, compliance, shipping departments, it eliminates the silos by connecting, to the ERP, file shares, and also, if you're using IBM spool files, we have ways to be able to convert and capture those into the system, right? So using those different tools that we'll talk about here in a second to be able to bring into the system, again, whether it's paper documents, electronic documents, or system generated, it's handled consistently and securely within the application. For IBM iShop, spool file management is often the missing link in a document workflow and automation solution. When we talk to IBM customers, one of the biggest challenges we hear is business content is scattered everywhere across multiple systems, formats, and storage locations within their systems, right? So looking at these different silos from email and fax, ERP, think of ERP as system generated content capture, right? PDFs or even spool files and stuff like that. Network folder locations, there might be a lot of information on laptops and computers that people don't have a centralized space to put them. And then one of the big ones is filing cabinets. Still, paper is still pretty big out there in some of the different industries that we have to deal with. So being able to take all this content and capture it in there. Now, WebDocs bridges that gap with its browser-based interface, right? Versioning, retention. We have Active Directory integration, REST API connectivity. Users have annotation and redaction capability within the browser to view documents. They can sign directly in the browser too. while administrators have complete audit control and administration capabilities directly through the browser within the system. So it's really nice to be able to have all those capabilities within the WebDocs system. But there's a lot of different features in there, and you'll see in the demonstration some of these things I'm talking about. I'll sort of highlight, some of those different features of the built-in browser annotations and things like that. This is where the heavy lifting happens now. With a document management system without capture capabilities is pretty much useless in my eyes, right? From that standpoint. So that's where Fortra offers a lot of different utilities, and that could be user utilities, and it can be automation utilities, and also integration utilities. And also, you'll see in the list here other utilities that are other Fortra products, like robotic process automation, Automate can work with our system as well. Go Anywhere MFT can work with our system. So we can actually capture documents from secure documents and process them into a workflow and then process them into the archive, or even Go Anywhere can pick them up at the end and process them out and deliver them after the approval process is done. Spool file automation, OCR and barcode. We have intelligent capture, and we normally use the intelligent capture because that does the data classification and OCR extraction for like invoice processing, unstructured data kind of processing. So we have a lot of different tools inside of our capture automation capability, or interactive capture even through the user tools. All right, now for the live demonstration. Today, what I'm going to cover from the WebDocs document workflow management system is how you can search and access documents that might be inside of the archive. And then also we'll look at what a workflow looks like inside the system. And then we'll go through some of those different user tools that we provide for users within the core package. All right, so WebDocs document management system is a web-based system, meaning when you purchase a license for our application, you can load it in your cloud environment, or you can load it on-prem on the physical server itself. So you do have that capability there. It can be tied to Active Directory for user authentication standpoint, or you could have it in a mixed environment where you might have Active Directory authentication, but then also you might have user authentication built in via the WebDocs system. Now, WebDocs does do the security still. Active Directory does not control the security. WebDocs is the security module inside of here. So if you are a user coming into the system, you can then log in with a user account. Admins are going to have special privileges, and they're going to have more of the settings tab, and that admin settings tab is going to allow the admins to be able to create users groups, set up permissions and different things in their document types and configuration of storage and and expiration times and dates and stuff like that. So you do have that capability inside of there. Now, the admin does have capability to get to the API documentation. So there is full REST API documentation built in a Swagger interface. So you can actually try and use the commands directly inside the system. Now, from a user standpoint, the biggest thing when a user comes into the system, they're going to log in and they're going to get to what they call, I'll call it the welcome screen or the home screen, right? In this case here, this welcome screen or home screen can have different kinds of messages for different kinds of at the group level. So you might have a different group that might have different kinds of documents that they link to, procedural documents. It might be, a checklist, for their department. It might be, different kinds of, things that they might need to get to on a daily basis, right? So it just makes it really nice for them to be able to click and access those, or templates that they might have in the system even. So you can access that there. Now you can configure the screen a little bit differently. So this is just done with some marketing stuff here of ours, but you do have control. There's a file that you can control all the different information on these side panels as well. From a user standpoint, there's really 2 points of direction that a user would go into, and that would be either search for a document using one of the search methods here. So you can come into the system and actually do that quick search inside of here. You could do it at a folder level search. You could do it at a doc type level search. So you can do different kinds of search functions from that standpoint inside of here. Now you can do like a document type search and then add criteria to it to be able to access multiple values. So if I wanted to search for maybe a PO number and a customer name or a vendor name, you could do that as well. So you do have that capability. But no matter how you search for it, since WebDocs is non-proprietary from the document format, we can house all those documents from any kind of format. You can see those here: PDFs, Word documents, emails, TIFF documents. You can click on them. There's a quick actions option you can click on there too. But when you click on a document, it's going to give you the document index keys that are associated to it. You can see, like, if something's been emailed, history, notes, routing, versions, all that stuff inside of here, along with all the different security things you have capability to do, and inside of here, the document itself in the in-browser viewer. So it's a really nice capability there. Now, this in-browser viewer does have capability to do redaction capability. You can do reordering of documents inside of here too. So if there's multiple pages inside of a document, you can reorder and do that stuff. Remember, all version and audit controlled. And then you also have annotation capabilities. So sticky note capability, highlighting capability. So if you have that capability, rubber stamp capability. But you can create, different things in there. So if you want to be able to say, hey, I need to highlight this information and then put a note on the document, you can do that with a sticky note. Or you could use a secure note up here, which the security is driven off of department level or group level structures. So you do have that capability there. If you need to add a page to a document, you can scan a document in here, acquire a page, or you can upload a file to the document to create another version if need be. So you do have that capability there. So that's just a quick overview of that. Now, the second part of the system is to be able to do it from a workflow, from a user standpoint. So a user might come in here and say, hey, I need to do approval on something. It might be something in their main inbox. It might be what we call a document queue, indexing queue, where they might need to index something, where they might need to open that up. But this is the nice thing about this. You can have different access levels inside of here to the different workflows for users. So if a user wants to open up a queue, they can open up a queue and say, hey, I want to work the inbox. And I'm going to work the inbox and walk through document by clicking on information and doing the approval process inside of here, maybe putting notes on things, and then doing maybe a transfer or completing and going to the next step. So this would be the workflow function. Now, the workflow function is built off of a workflow route. So there is a routing designer that comes with the system that allows you to create unlimited amount of different workflows. I always think of exception workflows, compliance workflows, things that you need to be able to push things into. This gives you that capability to be able to do that through the workflow functionality as a flowchart designer. Now, inside of here, you do have capabilities to be able to say what kind of documents and where they go into the system, what they have access to. There is a browser upload function. So if you want to upload documents to the system, you can do that through the browser upload function. And then we also have a wide variety of user tools really quickly here to be able to capture documents into the system. Starting with, I'll call it some of the core features, right? Meaning the trait that what we call the WebDocs capture utility. The WebDocs capture utility does have a folder monitor option, so you can monitor a folder for an incoming document on the PC, and then it will upload it directly to WebDocs. So a little bit of automation there. You have drag and drop capabilities, so I can open up a folder or go to my desktop and say, hey, I need to pull in a report or a document into the system, and you can drag and drop those documents into the system through the utility. You can scan documents through this utility and all that good stuff there as well. So it is a true multi-function utility to be able to interact with at that point. Now, we do have capability inside of Microsoft Word, Excel, and Outlook. We have a WebDocs tab to be able to say, hey, I want to capture a document, I want to capture an email, or maybe I want to capture this spreadsheet into the system. You can come into either one of those applications, and you can hit the Save as New button and save a new document into the system and categorize it, and even put it into a workflow if need be. So you do have that capability with inside the system. Now, one of the other features, and I don't think I have it open here. I'm going to open that up here so you can see it. Let's go to the printers and scanners. So we do have a print driver functionality that allows you to print directly into the WebDocs system. So print the WebDocs. So through any application you can file print from, green screen, web browser, Java client, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. Print screen, whatever you want to do. You can print and save directly into the WebDocs system. So you do have that capability there. All right. If anyone is interested in seeing a little bit more of a demonstration, feel free to let us know on this. But that concludes the demo portion of today's webinar. One of the things that I want to make sure that people understand too is steps to help you start cleaning up your paper, or what we'll call a digital mess in some cases, right? It's not all just going to happen at once, right? You sort of got to pick that date to start from. Create sort of a phased plan, look at the needs versus the wants. Not that you can't have it all, it's just that you want to be able to phase it in and, help the business absorb some of this change, right? Analyze your current processes and show the value to the business, saying, hey, if we do this electronically, we could save this, or we could have audit control or different things inside of there. And then the other thing is, again, if you pick that phased plan, right? You pick that one area of the business, the last one you can look at and say, hey, now let's go back to those other areas or other processes and expand throughout the organization. That is the beauty of WebDocs. So once you have the system in place, you can expand that as deep as you want into your organization, from a document capture standpoint, document management, or even a workflow standpoint. There's no limit on that part of the application. All right, we're not going to have time for questions today, but we will get back to any of the questions that have been entered already. And if you do have other questions, feel free to send those in to us as well. And remember, again, you will be getting a link to this webinar that will be the recording for it, so that you can share or rewatch with anyone as well. So, but again, if anyone would like a more in-depth demonstration of the solution to go around any certain use case that you might have, feel free to let us know, and we would be glad to help you with that and show you how the solution can help you with those different use cases. I want to thank everyone for their time today. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Thank you.